7:15. It's Tuesday, and I am headed to work. Thank God for a long weekend. I just keep repeating it because this year it is just so apparent how teachers really just need a break this time of year. So I'm just thankful that we had the extra day off. We don't have fall break, but having that extra day off really did help. I'm feeling rested. I'm feeling rejuvenated to a certain extent. I don't want to get like overstate and say I'm just fully energized. And I spent some time yesterday, most of the day, like you saw, lesson planning. And I think one of the reasons why the last 2 weeks have been very exhausting and frustrating and annoying is because I have been planning like by the day almost. Like I've had a sense of what I need to do, but just not feeling prepared, not having had that time, those prep periods during conference week, and then not having much time after school to like just gather my thoughts each day. Last week really left me just feeling like I was surviving, not thriving. And I think that contributed to the just general inadequacy that I was feeling last week. So I feel better in the sense that I've gotten some things planned out and prepared. So but I'm a little nervous to go to work. Like I feel nervous, like, okay, you feel better now, you feel less stressed now, and how long is it going to take before you just get right back to that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm scared that this certain sense of peace and calm that I feel at the moment is going to be very short-lived. I'm going to hope not. But I am also going to work on just like letting people's behaviors go. Like people's behaviors, beliefs, practices go in the sense that it doesn't really affect me. You know what? It does. But there's nothing I can do about it, because I think if you're working in education and you're all working with the same group of students, like what someone does or doesn't do may not directly affect you on a day-to-day basis, but I still feel like it affects your life because it affects the students you work with and what you're able to do with them. And I think that's the part of me that has to like let it go. I don't know that every teacher, or that most teachers feel like what other teachers are doing with their students really affects them at all, whereas I feel like to some extent, at least at the middle school level, I feel like to some extent it does. Like it just creates a culture on the school that can either be more positive or less positive. And I think that's the part that frustrates me because I feel like everyone should realize that, but not everybody does, and maybe not everybody agrees. So I have to just kind of learn how to let that go and know that I really can't control anything. Like I said in a previous post, I can't really control anything but myself, my classroom, my students, and go from there. So that's where my mind is at. I also realize I have never really mentioned the fact that I think, I don't know, I don't want to misstate this, but teachers are required to be vaccinated in California, and students. And so there's controversy about that as far as how I feel about it. I mean, I really think it's a great idea to be vaccinated. I really do. And I understand the need for teachers to be vaccinated because we're dealing with students, and students go home to their families. If I were a parent and I had a child and I was being told that my child needs to be vaccinated, I don't know, and they didn't have any medical reason that would make that an issue, I don't know that I would have an issue. Well, this person needs to wait. I don't know that I would have an issue with it because it's for the greater good. Also, I don't understand, like, parents, I guess it's just because it's new, but there are other vaccinations that kids have to have. And parents are doing that and not really causing this kind of stink about it. So it's hard for me to understand what it's all really about. So that's what's happening in California. Vaccinations are a must, and some people are very upset about it, and some people are not. But I, for one, understand the need for it. So that's how I feel about vaccinations in general. But as you can see, I've just arrived to school. So I'm going to get in here, get the day started, and pray that the day just stays nice and calm. It's 4:30 on the dot. I just logged off of the Zoom meeting. It was a union meeting. I had 2 makeup parent conferences after school. I had to actually leave one of them before it was over because I was already late to the union meeting I just attended. And now I need to hustle home because I have Orange Theory at 5:30. But I wanted to pop in really quick since I've been feeling discouraged and overworked and tired and exhausted and wondering if I'm being effective enough, just to report that I had a good day. On my way to work, I told you I was nervous that the sense of calm that I had, the sense of rest, would be depleted by the end of the day. I'm happy to report that that wasn't the case. In my homeroom class, we finished the peeling the fruit activity, and I feel like the more we got into it and the further we got with the questioning, the kids were more engaged by it. And, you know, at the end of the day, the goal of that activity or that strategy was visible to me. Like, the goal is to get them to think and to think critically. And so today we answered the rest of the paper. So they discussed whether or not they felt like America's origin story was a story of discovery and exploration or of displacement and invasion, and they had to give a reason why. As far as I know, everyone in class said that they felt like it was a story of invasion and displacement. And I made sure to say, whatever you think is the case is perfectly fine. You just have to back it up with some text evidence or some lessons that we've learned already, if not from the chapter that we were reading that day. Then after that, they had to then think about, well, what would someone on the opposing side say? What if someone read all this information, knew all this information, and still at the end of the day felt like the origin story is really more about discovery and exploration? What would they say, and why would they say that? And they were very successful at being able to now put themselves in the opposing side's shoes and articulate what they would say. And then the last question is, what is the heart of this topic? Why does this matter? Why should we care? And their responses to that were really good. And then I made a point to tell them, like, because I know some of them watched the vlogs and some of them saw the vlog where I said I was just like disappointed or heartbroken when a couple kids were like, oh, I don't like doing this. But I said, but look at what you've been able to do. Like, you guys have been able to talk about this topic in a very clear and mature way. You've been able to articulate your thoughts, ground them in information that you have learned. And there's adults that can't really talk about this subject matter as articulately as you guys have. And for that, you should be proud. And so not everything that we do is going to be rip-roaring fun. But I said, my goal is always to get you guys to think, to create people that grow into adults that could hold a conversation, can think critically and express their thoughts. So I felt good at the end of that. And then in my switch class, we're a little bit behind. So we finished listening to the radio performance of Sorry Wrong Number, which is the passage that we are on in Study Sync. Even though it's like old timey for sure, like the kids seem to enjoy just hearing the radio performance of it. So we did that. And by the time we finished with that and did the weekend wrap and all of that, there really wasn't enough time for us to even get back into the Puritans and the indigenous people and the peeling the fruit activity. So they will finish that up tomorrow. And so that all went well. But I did wanted to pop in and tell you, one of the things that I'm feeling very discouraged by at the moment is there is a strong chance that the universal access hour that I have with my class will be changed to the point where I no longer have my kids. I just have a conglomerate or a combination of kids from all the different classes in 8th grade that are all functioning academically at the same level as per their iReady scores. I hate that setup. I don't think it's effective at all. My first year here, I taught the low group, or the group that had the biggest gap in their reading, and we used Language Live, and that curriculum was dry as dry can be. And it's not motivating for a student to be in a class with other students that are struggling just as much as they are. And I understand why at the middle school level the district feels the need to do this, because this is a district mandated structure. I understand why they're doing this, and not allowing teachers to keep their kids at the middle school level. Now, mind you, when I taught elementary, we still had that universal access hour, but we retained our own kids and just knew that that hour of the day was devoted to individualized instruction in small groups. I think because I've taught elementary school before, I'm comfortable doing that and grouping kids and planning in that way, but not everybody that teaches middle school, especially if you've never taught elementary school before, feels comfortable doing that. And so sometimes when you're not comfortable doing something, then you just avoid doing it because you don't even know where to start. So then the district makes this blanket decision that we're just gonna level kids and put them all in class together. And what's frustrating to me is that you would never build a class that way. Like, no principal builds a class and says, I want all the high kids in this class, all the medium functioning kids in this class, and all the struggling students in this class, because it just doesn't serve the kids well. How are you doing cooperative groupings? How are you doing anything where students have a model to aspire to if they're all functioning at the same level? And that's one of the things that is currently breaking my heart, because I am like, I trust me as a professional. I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I spent the time, I put my kids in groups. It is so much more meaningful when you're meeting with small groups and they are your kids and you know them and you've built some sort of relationship with them than it is to do that with a student that you only see an hour out of the day, that you didn't do any class building with or anything like that. And so today, in one of the groups that I pulled, we did this guided reading lesson, or we started it. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, this is just so much fun. Like, I'm getting something out of this, the kids are getting something out of this. I'm able to interact with this group in a way that I don't normally get to, because, you know, I'm working with the whole class, and I'm like, and this is what they want to take from me. This is helping them. This is good for them. We can laugh and joke and learn because we know each other well. Because there's management, because there's structures in place that they are familiar with. And so, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm trying to talk to some people to see if they can just kind of hear me out, but I just don't know. But anyway, this book was called Embarrassing with a capital E, and I got this from the school that is near where I live, that is now being led by the assistant principal that I used to work with last year. And they have this reading room with all these leveled readers. And I asked her, can I borrow a couple to just share with my middle schoolers, because we don't have anything like this at the middle school level. This is very common at the elementary schools in my district, but we don't have this at the middle school level. So basically it gives you a book, and it gives you a whole series of things to do with this book if you're running a guided reading group. And I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to cry, because I'm like, what if I don't even get to do this anymore? Then what? So that was probably the highlight of my day, because we were talking about the story, but then there were things where we were making sure we understood different aspects of the story, and like relating our lives to the characters and why they may be feeling the way that they're feeling or what's going on. There were some funny moments that we shared, and so I really enjoyed it, but it made me sad, because I'm like, I might lose this. So but that is pretty much it. In leadership today, I haven't really talked about it much, but We are going to be pitching an outdoor rally to the principal to see if he can give us approval. It's going to be Avatar themed. The group that came up with that concept is finalizing their slides. The rest of us are simultaneously planning a school-wide Halloween contest for students and staff, and lunchtime activities, and making signs in case we do have rallies. Hey. And then that's really all that we've been working on. So Taylor's here. You want to come say hi?
Because you're at a meeting, you're
No. I'm gonna finish this, and then we're gonna knock these outfits out, and then I gotta run home and change my clothes.
Right back into sweat.
How you doing, Taylor?
I'm alive. Survived the Monday.
Do you still feel sick?
Oh, Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's how much I don't even know what's going on right now.
I scheduled something that was supposed to go out tomorrow because I thought today was Monday.
Yeah. So, I mean, that actually improved my day knowing that it's actually, we just finished Tuesday. Yeah, I've just been feeling a little like stuffed up. I had like the worst sinus headache last week. So I'm just kind of like, think maybe a little bit run down. And my body was like slightly weakened there for a second. And then I was like, my immune system, I was like, oh, nope, can't be having that.
Yet another reason why I think we should have fall break.
I absolutely would vote for a fall break.
I'm like very obsessed with the idea, like, why can't we?
What is this majestic fall break, and can we have one, and how do I petition to get one?
Because I mentioned it in the union meeting. I said, has the district ever thought about fall break?
Yeah, and like, where do those days come from other districts where like they can still have this and a Thanksgiving break? Because wherever it is
a school in Claremont. It's not a public school, but I was talking to someone, and every 6 weeks they get a week off.
Absolutely. I would take less summer vacation for that.
Every 6 weeks, and she said because of when you start thinking about there's Thanksgiving in November, there's winter break, there's all those holidays in February, there's Veterans Day. She's like, it really only makes it so that they get out of school a couple of days later. Just was like,
I would kill.
And of course they they count the weekends, but every 6 weeks they get 5 days straight where they don't have school. And I'm like,
that is what we need. Yes.
Could you imagine?
No. Yes, I would love it.
the quality of my teaching would skyrocket if I knew every 6 weeks I'm gonna get a rest.
Right. I'd be like, yes, progress reports or report cards are due, but I will have 5 days just to relax and recover from whatever just happened for these progress reports.
So I threw that out there in the chat. No one really paid attention to it, but it's coming. I am on the negotiations team, and that I will throw that out there again and say, if not this year, let's start talking about it.
Why does summer need to be so long? Like, when it doesn't need to, if it could be, we could be more mentally stable.
I would mind getting out a few days later in May.
Absolutely.
If that meant I was going to get an extra week off in October. Absolutely. And technically, you only need to give me 4 days because we already have this day built in.
We could have really just taken these 4 days off, and the joy I would have had coming back after this fall break would have been,
So Taylor's getting ready to head out. I too need to go home and change. We're going to give you, I'm going to call it a faux fall. A faux fall fashions, because it's technically fall. Yeah. But again, it is. It's
shocking that it's under 80 degrees right now here. So
yeah, it was 60 something degrees this morning. My kids were like, "Oh, it's freezing!" Yeah, because for us that's cold. Yeah, and this is the coldest day of the week. Like,
kids are wearing shorts.
Yeah, it was a stretch for me to put on the sweater because it's about to be 80 degrees again. So
yeah, I was planning our outfits out, and I'm like, okay, which fall outfit am I not going to be sweating in when it's 80 something degrees on Thursday?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be called faux fall.
Faux fall.
So if you want to see the rest of this outfit, for me, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it, but hers is cute. So you're going to have to watch the video.
Stay tuned for Friday.
Where we share it with you.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to leave, or I'm going to stop talking to you guys for now. If you enjoyed this vlog, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, I'm Smarty Style. This is Styled in the Middle.
Yes.
And as always, I hope that you're well, and if you're not well, please be well, and I will see you tomorrow.